Okay, now we have created our classroom and we have added students. The next thing we're going to do is assign an entry diagnostic to our students. So you're able to, there's a couple different ways to go in that. You can either assign activities or you can do it straight from this getting started screen. So I'm going to click there and I have a couple options. I have the starter, intermediate, or advanced diagnostic, and then I have the ELL starter and regular diagnostic. Now, there are a couple differences in these. With the starter, you're going to be working on plural and possessive nouns, your pronouns, basic verbs and adjectives. Hi, Luna. And then with the intermediate, you're going to go up to compound sentences, complex sentences, conjunctive adverbs, and commonly confused words. The next step up would be your advanced diagnostic, so compound complex sentences, appositives, that sort of thing. I start all of my students out with the starter diagnostic, unless they are ELL students. Then you're going to want to assign them an ELL starter or the ELL starter diagnostic. Now, I do know that at the beginning of the year, it's hard to tell where your student, you don't know them yet, so you don't know which one's going to be best. So you don't know, is this a student that doesn't know the difference between A and an, or is this a student who's just having some more advanced problems? And that's one of the reasons why I just always start out with the starter one, and then because it's going to give you an idea of where the student needs to work. All right, so something that I'm gonna show you, select here. I'm not gonna really go into real depth on this, but I do want to show you a few things. So we're gonna do the starter diagnostic, and we're gonna use this classroom. Starter diagnostic 1. Okay. So, and then all you do, you click here, and you are going to assign your students. So let's say I'm working in a sheltered instruction, a PSYOP class, and half of my students are L's and half of my students are not. So I would just assign, I would click and choose which students. And I have actually already done this, so I don't want to show you at this moment. I'm not going to click all the way through. But then you also would repeat the same thing with your ELL. And here I will show you where I have already assigned them. So my activities, go to my activities, and I'm able to see here that within our class I assigned the starter diagnostic to 7 out of my 12 students, and I can click right here and see which students it has been assigned to. And then same thing with my ELL. I'm just going to look at a couple of the first few questions to give you an idea, and because there are a few things I would like to point out. Come on. There we go. I'm not going to go very far into this. A couple things I want you to see. So this is the starter diagnostic for English. We arrived blank school before the bell rang, so we're going to say at. And they do have to type it in. Because they're typing these in, spelling is important. Now on these, it's not that big of a deal. New Year's Day is a holiday in January. So they have the word right here. The chances that they're going to misspell that is very small. But let's say they did. It is going to tell me, hey, this is misspelled. It's not one of your options. You can't do this. Now, once they get further along and they're combining sentences and it's more of a free type in, I've had we have found that spelling and punctuation do become quite an issue with some students. So they often have to go in and repeat activities because they didn't pay attention to spelling and punctuation. But it's good practice. Okay, let's look at the ELL diagnostic, and I want to show you how it is different. So with the ELL diagnostic, the main thing is that, number one, it's going to start with some more basic skills, with lower basic skills, but you're also going to see that the student has the option of receiving the instructions either just in English or in English and another language. Which, there we go. So their starter has 22 questions to start with, and it also has the instructions here in another language. Okay, so once again, this is fill in the blank. And so if you notice, I want you to look at the first question here. Are, is, am, or be a student? So it is starting at an easier level with the ELLs. So you're looking at more of, sorry, I have a bird that's going after my ear. So you're looking at more basic verb. Okay, so now we're going to jump over here and we're going to look at some of the stuff that my students in my previous classes have done. So we're going to jump to some of my previous classes. These are all my students in here that were in my most recent year. Diagnostics. Hi there, guys. Okay. It's broken. I imported these from Google Classroom, and Zuli just really wants to talk to you guys today. I imported these from Google Classroom. So these are the score. I assigned the ELL to everyone at first because I had such a high level of ELLs at this school that I figured that it would be in my best interest to start at that base level for everyone. And even though this is not a sheltered instruction class, you'll notice that almost all the scores are in the red. And it is, now this is an inclusion class, but that was one of my brighter classes. And even in my regular classes, you notice it's all in red and yellow. So I don't hide the scores from them, but this isn't a screen that I would regularly show the students. I think in all of my students this particular year, I only had one student. Yeah, which class? And I think she was in one of my PSYOP classes. Yep, I had one student that got in the green. So I don't think this screen is necessarily as helpful. You are able to go in and look at specific questions and how each student answered. So this is, for example, the people watches the movie. I would say that this particular student was came in with as a beginner ELL. She did progress to being intermediate throughout the over the class period. But you'll notice a lot of the mistakes that she was making are very common ELL mistakes. So they're given the prompt, watches the movie, and their instructions are to basically complete the sentence. And so she says the people watches the movie. And so the things that she got wrong on this is that she did not put a period at the end, and that her sentence was not a complete sentence. It was not a correct sentence. So, we can look through there and see. Okay, so again, and I can look by specific question. So question number 1, I can look at specific questions. Now, whenever I did this, they've changed the diagnostics since then. So the diagnostics that are on here are not the same that you would see now. This is the sentence combining. But here is for a fill in the blank. question. Okay. However, this is what I find the most helpful right here, is that you are able to look at a glance, look at an entire class, and see what the students, where the strengths and weaknesses are. And honestly, to me, this is where we get the most out of the diagnostic, is that I'm able to see, I have quite a few students who are having problems with capitalization. They know how to capitalize, but what's happening is that once they get on a computer and they start typing things, they don't like to hit that shift key when they're capitalizing their sentences, or when they're starting their sentences. So, possibly these specific students, I can go in and individually assign an activity. Hey guys, you need some practice on capitalization, so let's work on that. However, I can also see that I have specific areas that all of my students need help in. Compound and complex sentences, adverbs and adjectives. For the most part, those were items that every single class across the board needed help with. Wow, you guys are being really loud. You can see it. Now, so what it's going to do, it's going to give me the option down here with, they have specific packs. And it'll tell me, hey, look, 96% of your classes need this pack. Okay, one more thing before I end this screencast. What I also had them do is, immediately coming back from the semester, I would have them move up to the next level of the diagnostic. Everybody's really loud. Okay, so I would go up to the next level. So either the intermediate or the regular ELL diagnostic. I would have them move up. Once again, not for a grade, but just for me, for comparison purposes, to see where growth, what areas growth has been happening, or what areas we need to really focus on. Okay, and that's, go back to dashboard, because we're not assigning anything. So that's the diagnostics.